Hey there, I'm Jill Allen, and this is Find Your Fierce, the show designed to help you discover your inner strength and unlock an unstoppable mindset that will completely transform how you show up every day. Each week, I will share methods and strategies to inspire you to step into your greatness and live life with purpose. Join me on this journey to becoming fit, fierce, and unstoppable. Welcome back to Find Your Fierce, the place where we help each other become the best version of ourselves. I'm Jill Allen, and I'm beyond excited to have you all here with us for episode 189. Today, we have a very special guest joining us to talk about addiction, its challenges, and the impact it has on people's lives. But here's the best part. We'll also hear the story of how she overcame her addiction and emerged victorious. It's going to be so super good. But before we get started, I just wanted to update you on Ignite Your Mindset. Just a couple of spots for one-on-one mindset coaching is up for grabs. So if you're seeking a little more clarity or confidence and courage to help you achieve your goals, whatever they may be, please let me know. I would love to work with you to help you up level, to break through any barriers that keep you stuck, and to support you in ditching the small thinking so you can reach your full potential. Go to jillallencoaching.com and click on Ignite Your Mindset. Are you ready? I know I am, so let's dive in. Let me introduce you to my friend Amanda. She's a mother, a wife, a teacher, and she's 1 year sober. And we are so honored that she is with us today, sharing her story. Amanda, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, I'm really excited. I've been looking forward to this conversation all week because I think it's going to be able to relate to so many people, and the hope that you're going to be able to share with others. And I know we can dive in to probably all sorts of things. I started reading your blog.
Yeah.
And it's so good.
Thank you.
Hook, line, and sinker when it comes to addiction and your story. You wrote a goodbye letter to alcohol.
Yes.
Talk a little bit about that.
Sure. Yeah, that was part of my treatment that I was going through, which I had tried to get sober on my own before, and I had gotten to 45 days, which was no joke. But this last time, I knew I needed some outside help, and so I was fortunate enough to find an online intensive treatment. And so it's like 10 hours a week of therapy online, and it was a lot. But in that process, one of the first things I had to do was write a goodbye letter to be able to acknowledge the real relationship that I had with alcohol, which was incredibly toxic. So being able to look at it for really what it was, the unhealthy and the absolute trap that I was in. I did look at it as a breakup letter, and saying goodbye, it was surprisingly difficult. The whole time in active addiction, it was, oh, it's fine. I can handle it. I can do this. I can say goodbye tomorrow. No big deal. But when you're actually having to name it and write it down, it was very difficult.
Yeah, I mean, I think I remember you saying it was, it was an up and down, but like you even said the alcohol was your best friend.
Best friend. Through everything life ever threw at me, I had alcohol. And, I was a young, driven educator, and definitely took a job that was beyond my years. And a lot of the coping came with alcohol. And, have a hard day at work, go meet up with colleagues afterwards. And that came with alcohol. Have a hard day at work, let's have a girls' night. That came with alcohol. Those kind of things. And that just started to snowball into, I got another promotion. Great. That came with alcohol. So the highs, the lows, everything came with alcohol. And because alcohol is legal, it is everywhere. You can't go to Kroger and get salad dressing without being shoved into the aisle of alcohol. So to be able to say goodbye to it was very complicated.
Because it's everywhere.
It's everywhere. It's every commercial, every show you watch, there's at least one commercial. There's, You drive out on the highway, there's billboard signs. It's, I live here in Lancaster, and it's, right down the street, go to bar. It's right there. And the grocery store was one that it was really hard to overcome, because as a mom, I spend 90% of my life at the grocery store. So it was hard. And when I finally said goodbye and finally said enough is enough, to be able to navigate this again without the major triggers.
Did you find yourself like in denial? I mean, because it's so accepted,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because it's everywhere, but I mean, were you hiding? Were you hiding the amount that you were drinking, or how does that kind of?
Well, with me, I was kind of hiding in plain sight. I took pride in the amount of drink I could handle, and I really wouldn't hide it. Now, the only time that it really came into play is if I were to meet some friends out, and then those friends went home, and then another set of friends would come. Or, for instance, or if I did go home, I wouldn't stop drinking, whereas some people would. But once it became an actual addiction, the high was never high enough. And so I was constantly chasing that dopamine hit that I was never going to experience again. My threshold at that point was way too high, and I was completely out of balance.
How much were you drinking at the time that you decided that enough was enough?
My last night of drinking, it was 2 bottles of wine, and that was pretty average.
Wow.
And yeah, and I was highly functional in my addiction. I was going to all the things, didn't miss a game, didn't miss a recital, didn't miss any of it. Made all the dinners, prepped all the meals, highly functional.
Got up the next
But
day, did it all again.
yeah, and I was just in this hamster wheel of just, I don't know. It was awful because I'd used it to cope for so long. But then all of a sudden, I made a lot of changes in my life. I'm not happy. I'm not happy. I'm not happy. Okay, well, I got out of administration and I went back to teaching. I married the love of my life. I became a bonus mom to 4 beautiful kids. And I am doing the things that I know I'm meant to do. And yet I'm still in this hamster wheel. And that was really when I knew that something was broken. Even through all of the therapy and all of the group sessions, I still can't pinpoint why that day I decided. It was just one of those mornings. That was the day. And I had looked for places and things to be discreet, because that's the part that I was wanting to hide. It was just bizarre. I'm not wanting to hide the drinking. I was wanting to hide the recovery.
Well, that's like admitting that you have that you had a
Yeah.
problem.
Yeah. So like I said, I had looked many times before. I had tried on my own. And then one day I just found this place, and it was so bizarre. It's based out of California. Like, I was like, this is such a long shot. There's no way my insurance is going to cover it. But I called, and within 3 minutes, I got a call back.
Oh, gosh.
And they meant business. I attribute my life to them. They treated it like it was life or death, because it's life or death. And I was hooked up with a group. We had an action plan. And within 4 days, I was completely sober. And it took some weaning off of it, because they were very, very concerned about my health. Obviously, 2 bottles of wine a night is scary. But I had the support of my wife that cannot be quantified at all. And through her support and through the support of the group and my counselors, I was able day by day to get stronger.
What were some of the side effects? I mean, what withdrawal symptoms? I mean, I'm going
I
to say
was,
those 4 days were probably the most difficult that you've ever had
yes.
physically, emotionally, spiritually.
Oh, it was all of it. And emotionally, I think we were all expecting physical, and we were prepared for if my blood pressure were to increase to a certain level, my wife was ready for, okay, here, this is the time when we go to the emergency room. And, we had all these safeguards in place that came from my treatment facility. And the physical wasn't, thank goodness, wasn't my biggest. It was the emotional side of it. I had been dealing with anxiety, just crippling anxiety, which is that morning I called for help I was having a panic attack. And I had landed in the hospital a few times with high blood pressure, and what they ended up saying was a panic attack. But they couldn't differentiate between panic attack and heart attack. And I'm 36 years old. So that is just not something that should ever be happening. So my anxiety went through the roof during the first 5 days. And I was crying the whole time. Luckily, I had a little bit of a break from work. And my kids were at their dad's. So I had time. And like I said, the stars were aligning. Things were working for me in my favor. And I just I ate when I wanted to, didn't worry about what I was doing there. And I watched a lot of TV and just vegged out as much as I could and slept a lot. I slept a lot. I was exhausted.
Okay.
But I was very lucky. I have a lot of friends who their physical symptoms, were the vomiting and the extreme shakes. I, of course, had shakes, but it was still minimum. But as I got through that part, that's when my real withdrawal started to take its toll on me. It was more, like I said, the emotional side of it. It was the everyday grind.
The habit, the daily routine.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and relearning how to do life. I mean, my drinking really, and it had been a little over about a decade of heavy drinking. And it was just relearning how to live my life. And that to me was the hardest.
Mm.
And the physical withdrawals I knew were going to hit, and I was prepared for that, but I was not prepared for relearning how to do my everyday.
And just sitting with it. I mean, I know you mentioned in one of the blogs, and guys, you have to go check that out. We'll put her link in the show notes. But I know you said that it was like the most intense reflection of your life. Like you had to look in the mirror and really dive in. Um,
Yes.
all the things that you were reflecting. I mean, I can't even imagine. I mean, because you did have everything on paper. You had the life that people dream about,
Yeah.
yet there was a void.
It was such a big void. And it was really learning to sit with myself.
Mhm.
And as a teacher, I see it. I see it in our students. Like they can't go from class to class without putting music on
Mm.
in their ears. They to sit with yourself, to really, for the first time, it was very difficult. And that is why I attribute my success so much to my treatment and my connection with my sober support, because I was able to dive in.
Mhm.
And when I didn't want to, there was other people there to be my reflection. When I wasn't able to look at myself, I could look at my friend who I've never met in person, but I've grown to love, true, like real feelings of love for this friend. And I'm giving advice and saying, it's one day at a time. You've got that, really giving that all. And then at the end of the session, my therapist says to me, Amanda, you're saying all the things that you should be doing yourself. And learning to take my own advice and to really listen to my inner self again, to trust that I can do this without that aid, which now a year in, oh my gosh,
Which is
I don't
awesome.
know I don't know how I functioned with it. Honestly, that was definitely not functioning. I say functioning, but
Yeah.
now I can see.
It's just absolutely amazing. I mean, a year is a long time. I mean, do you ever feel the need or the urge to have a drink? And if so, like, what do you do? How do you replace that? Or how do you get back on that brain trail that keeps you on the positive path?
Yeah, I mean, even a year in, and I know this is an everyday ongoing battle. I definitely still have cravings. I know how to handle them better. I know how to identify them. I can sit with my feelings and really say, do I need a drink? No. Do I need a nap? Yes, I need a nap. And they teach you what I always come back to. It's called HALT. Just it's hunger, anger, loneliness, or tiredness. Those are your four major. If you're feeling like a drink, identify it. If it's one of those, you don't need a drink. And it's always one of those. Spoiler alert.
It's halt.
HALT, yes, HALT.
Okay. Hunger,
Yeah.
anger, loneliness.
Loneliness and tiredness.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mm.
And a lot of times as a mom, it's tiredness. I'm tired, you know? And so I've learned that a big part of my recovery is taking care of that part of me, making sure I'm getting the rest that I need.
Mhm.
And I am so very, very, very blessed that I have a supportive family. And if I need to take a quick 30-minute nap, I
Mhm.
just say, I got to go take a nap. And that's it. They support that.
Mhm.
But on my day to day, if I can't do those things, I try to go back to all the good things that sobriety has brought me. And number one is my clarity.
Mm.
I can see it more. I can see my life again. And before, even with all of the blessings that I have, I couldn't count them.
Mm.
So to be able to see it and to feel it again, to actually have feelings and not just responses to things, it's eye-opening, and I tend to just go back to that. It is just one day at a time, and I will get through this day.
I'm sitting here thinking like, it's Friday when we're recording this, guys. Friday at 3:30. I can bet that your Friday nights looked a little bit different than here on a podcast interview.
Yep. There's no way I would be doing this. No, I would be at the bar down the street.
And, and you, I mean, you are a mom, I mean, and high functioning and
Mm-hmm.
very driven, doing all the things. How did this impact the kids? I mean, were they aware or were you aware of the impact,
Yeah.
of your kids? I mean, they probably are getting a different mom at this point.
Oh, yes. If I have a non-alcoholic beer, they're like, that's fake, right?
Yeah.
Yes, that is fake. Thank you for checking in on me. And honestly, at the time, I mean, they knew I would drink, but they didn't know how bad it was until it got good.
Mm.
And now, I remember the first time one of our kids said to my wife and I, "You guys haven't fought in a long time." And I could, to the day, tell them. And I was like, I haven't drank. And I wanted them to understand because I haven't been wanting to hide any of it. It took me about 3 to 4 months to be able to really talk about why I was going upstairs and being on Zoom meetings and I was trying to tell them things, and I was like, these kids are so smart. They know something's up.
They
So
see everything. They know everything.
they
They
do.
know everything. Yep.
So I just started talking about, recovery and what that meant, and that, I was sick and tired of being sick and tired, and that it really got to the best of me when it came to my anger. And they could see that. They could see those things. They could see that I'm not tired in the morning anymore. I'm not the last one out the door. I mean, I get out the door, but I'd be the last one
Yeah.
there. um, and I'm not snippy with them, I'm not, it's the hardest part about all of it is recognizing, especially, I guess, for me as a bonus mom, when I get all the dreams come true and then I spend more time wasting it.
Mm-hmm.
And I never want to be back there again. I can go to gymnastics, which I will be spending all day tomorrow doing.
Those are
And
long days.
oh, so long. And be fully present and not be thinking about the moment I'm going to get home so I can get a drink. Or how do I, bring my mom drink? That whole culture just boggles my mind, but I fell right into it, and definitely I understand, especially for moms, you are tired, you are hungry, you are lonely, you are all of the, and you're angry a lot of the times. So you're hitting all of the things that Halt is telling us, hey, Halt, don't take a drink. But yet mommy wine culture started, and it is something that has taken hold, and it's scary. It's so scary, and I fell prey to that
Mhm.
very quickly.
Gosh, I just, yeah, I'm just thinking back, like even personally to, all the times and the nights that, oh, like, oh, we need a drink or we need that girls' night out
Mm-hmm.
or let's go do
Mm-hmm.
this and that. I know the next day for me, and I don't drink. I think my addiction is probably more fitness beyond. And that is also an addiction,
Yeah,
much to where
absolutely.
you just constantly have to focus on that. So I just think about like the nights that I've had. Well, I'll just tell a story. And, we went to a wedding and over the summer and they had like a free bar there. And I think I kid you not, like I had 2 glasses of wine, gonna get up
Mm-hmm.
on my third. And my son Hayden was like, Mom, what is wrong with you? What is going on? And because I was just different and because they had not seen that, it
Mm-hmm.
still haunts me. And it's just, and here I am, like he's 18 because of that environment. And they just didn't like me as that mom. And that sucks, you know,
Yeah.
it just sucks. And so, for me, it would be that night, like one every, 8 months.
Mm-hmm.
But it was that night where I probably did not handle my alcohol,
Mm-hmm.
if you want to put it that way. And so it does become just one of those things and normalized where everything revolves around that. And when you are the one that does not drink, the question is, why not?
Why not? What's wrong with you? Are you pregnant? That's my favorite one.
Okay.
I get that less now that I'm married to a woman, but it is one of those like when there's always has to be something wrong for you to not drink.
Mm-hmm.
I am at this point where I am trying to, and that's why, I'm here and I'm talking to you because I want to normalize talking about addiction.
Yeah.
It's, it's something that a lot of people deal with. And I also want to normalize just choosing not to drink. That's okay.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
people choose not to smoke and no one freaks out about that, you know?
Yeah, you're so right. I just, you mentioned the clarity that you've gained and the vibe, like you're just so much more alive. I know I don't like that feeling. Like the next day is like, oh my gosh, what it doesn't, it just doesn't make me feel good. And Did you ever have shame or guilt?
Oh, yeah.
Nights, yeah, or like, because we all talk differently, we all act differently, we all are like a little bit when we're loosened up.
Yeah.
Yeah, people would call it fun
Yeah.
Jill.
The shame, guilt, Angel. I have a whole name. My name is Penelope. It's a whole different name. Um, I usually could keep things together. It was never something that I was out in the world making a fool out of myself. It was always in the comfort of my own home
Mhm.
with people who I love the most, which, that's not okay either. And the shame and the guilt, I mean, you brought that up, and that was the highlight and the priority of my whole treatment, really, because shame and guilt is at the root of all of my drinking and the feelings of never being good enough. And I think that anytime you find yourself in an addictive situation and you are falling prey to that, I do believe that there is a void there that is needed to be filled. And for me, it was that the void of not feeling like I could be good enough or myself. And that, that's rooted in a whole, like, that's a whole nother podcast. But, but yeah,
Do you forgive yourself?
I am working on that. That is one of those, I forgive myself some days. Some days I forgive myself for all the things I did prior to becoming a mom. And now it's tackling that feeling of I've let them down. And that's going to take a lot longer to be able to fully accept that I wasted more time, you know.
Mm. I think the best part about a supportive family and the people that love you in this is like there's just so much grace.
Oh, yes. Thank goodness.
Uh,
Yes. And
that
especially with kids, they are so forgiving, and I never want to be the part of their lives where they have to say enough is enough.
mm,
And I get to have the rest of their lives with them. So I want to make the best of it. And that's why I married my wife and I changed my whole life. That's the point, right? And so now I get to do it because alcohol doesn't have me prisoner. And I am able to see the traps and I'm able to use my skills and use my sober support, which, if anybody is trying to get sober on their own, yes, it is possible. I know plenty of people who do it, but I'm telling you, it is so much easier when you surround yourself with people who are also going through it or have gone through
mhm.
getting sober, getting clean, no matter if it's alcohol or meth or anything. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter the substance. It doesn't matter the social situation that it might be. It's all the same. It all hits the same neural pathways in your brain. It's all the same. But sober support is what saved me, and I will always go back to that.
What do you have to share? Because I know someone listening here today is probably hiding or going through the motions or might be addicted and their eyes are just kind of being opened right now because the seed is being planted for us to do a self check. What would you say to them in terms of how to start that process, in terms of that reflection of, or in terms of making a decision that
Mm-hmm.
something needs to change? I mean, because I know no one can force them.
Right. Yeah. I think from what I have learned through my treatment, and I'm a math teacher, so keep this in mind. If you find yourself doing alcohol or substance math, you'd find yourself doing math a lot. So, for instance, how many glasses of wine can I have sitting at this table before my speech is slurred? How many glasses of wine can I get out of the bottle that I'm sharing with my friend? If you're doing the math, that goes along with drinking, then that's an indication like, hey, you're spending a lot of brain power. And so from what I've learned in treatment is when you're doing that math, that's when things aren't as healthy as you would want it to be. And if you are looking to get help, if you're ready for that, there are meetings anywhere, everywhere, online. It is after COVID, it has become so easy to get help online now. And so my cousin I'm super, super proud of her. She is also going down her own recovery journey. And that was the first thing I said to her. It's so easy now that you don't have to go find yourself in an in-person meeting and call it anonymous, which we all know that if you're in a small town, it's not as anonymous as you'd like it to be. But you can get on things like smartrecovery.com and you're in a room and you don't have to show your face. You don't have to put your name. You can just listen, and you don't have to put yourself out there in the way that you think you do. You can just put yourself out there in the sense of, I'm here and I'm listening. And that is a huge first step.
I can't imagine the amount of people that you are inspiring and helping because of the decision that you made. I can talk to you all day. I think I really, really can. And I'll kind of end with this question. Did you feel, or do you feel that the decision to make a change and choose a different path was more or less difficult than the actual process and journey? Was the decision harder than the actual recovery process?
I would definitely say yes. The decision was in the making for years. And I am sitting at actually, I'll be 400 days sober tomorrow. So
Oh.
It's exciting.
So good.
400. So it definitely took me probably 5 years of thinking, oh, something's not right. I need to do something about it. And negotiating with myself of, I'll moderate here, I'll moderate there, I'll figure this out. I'll like all the math I was talking about. And once I was able to finally make that decision, and I haven't had a slip. I'm here. I'm doing this thing, and it's 1 minute at a time, one day at a time. But the decision was definitely one that took a long time for me to come to terms with.
I just feel like maybe so many people can relate to that part of their story right now.
Yes, I'm sure.
Yeah. Gosh, I'm just so excited for you and the life that you are now able to lead, your kids, Amy, your students, and the people that you come in contact with, the people that you're going to be helping beyond because you said yes to the recovery process. It's absolutely amazing. I know you have the blog. I'm obsessed with it. Where can someone find you, or what's the name of your blog to share?
Well, the easiest is on Instagram at She's Not Whining. It is as in like I'm whining. But yes, She's Not Whining. And I've been I've ghosted it for a minute, I have to admit, because of volleyball season. But now that I am done coaching and I'm finally able to, now that basketball's picking up, which is our off season, I get to start to have a life again. So I'm going to take that back in.
And start diving in and sharing your stories. Yes, please go follow her. Just thank you so much for being here and being so open and honest and just having a heart that is pouring into others, and you're giving so many people hope. I thank you for that.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed it. And that's the goal. It's to recover out loud. That is my goal.
I love it. Thank you. Thank you so much. Guys, before we wrap this up, I've got to say there's something truly magical about getting outside, unplugging, spending time in nature. It's a chance to unleash your inner adventure and slow down a little bit in this fast-paced world. And what better way to do that than by joining us for the Winter Trailblazer Challenge? You definitely don't want to miss out on this one-of-a-kind experience. Head on over to jillallencoaching.com, sign up, get some awesome swag, partner with Unbound Now to fight human trafficking, and hit the trails with us. And if you're looking to level up your mindset, gain clarity, confidence, and the courage to take the next step towards your goals while receiving some personalized one-on-one support, then I would love to invite you to check out the Ignite Your Mindset coaching journey. Let's work together to ignite your passion and achieve your dreams. I would love to help you. Make sure to tune in next time as we continue to add some serious fire to your day. Not sure what we will be talking about, but it's always going to be good. Be sure to subscribe to the show so you get that notification of when the newest episode drops. Thanks so much for joining us today. I hope that we were able to fill your heart with joy. Before you go, love it if you could let us know what you thought of the episode. Share the episode link on your social media if you found it inspiring, and don't forget to leave a review. It really helps spread the message. We all know someone that could use a little extra encouragement, so let's spread the love. Until next time, remember to be fit, be fierce, be unstoppable. See ya.